Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about unjamming your AR-15. Now, when I started teaching about 12 years ago, um, ARs used to jam a lot more, and that was a standard part of training people on ARs. We would teach them to unjam them when they would jam up. Okay, now the reason why they would jam up is not because of the guns, but because of the magazines. The magazines did not have the anti-tilt followers like we have today. So nowadays, if you can push down on this mag, no matter where you push on it, front or back, the follower does not tilt back. The older Vietnam era aluminum ones, if you would push on the front over here, the followers would tilt front or back, and that would create nose ups or nose downs. Now that was also compounded with the feed lips bending, because with the aluminum ones, if you dropped it on the feed lips would bend, and that would also cause nose ups, nose downs. PMag corrected that situation, right, when they came along with their magazines. And the nice thing about these PMags is that, if you drop them, they're either broken or they're not broken, okay? If it's going to break, it's going to crack, you're going to be able to see it, and you're going to throw it in the garbage. With the aluminum ones, a lot of times they would bend. People would take the nose, the needle nose pliers, they would bend them back, and then they would work for a little bit. So these PMags kind of fixed the problem with the ARs, made them a lot more reliable. And then other companies came along, like Lancer, made excellent magazines. And basically the AR-15s have become extremely reliable, as a result of them getting better magazines. So the problem with ARs was always the magazines, not the gun itself. So now, regardless, right, you still want to, you still want to know how to unjam the gun. You want to do some drills to practice it. One of the ways that I will typically practice this with people, right, is while they're shooting. Okay, while they're shooting, what I will do is I'll take either a magazine or a stick, right? We call it a fuck stick, right? And basically, while they're shooting, I'll just put something, touch their bolt, and that will cause the gun to jam. Now, here's the thing. Anytime your gun stops working, right, you don't assume that, you don't just change the magazine. You're always going to roll the gun to the side, look at it, make sure that it's not jammed. Because what will typically happen is the gun stops working. People think that the magazine's empty. They drop the magazine. They put the next one in. But if they had a gun that was jammed, by putting in another magazine, now they got a gun that's even more jammed, okay? So that's why the procedure is, anytime your gun stops working, you just roll it to the side, you look at it, confirm that the gun is locked open, you've got an empty chamber. If it doesn't lock open for any reason, the next thing you do is basically you basically pull your charging handle back, you look in your chamber, and then from there you continue to move forward. It might just be that maybe the gun just didn't lock back for whatever reason. There's a couple of reasons why that might happen. Usually because that's usually gas related, or the gun's being dirty where it doesn't have enough pressure to come all the way back. I mean, you could also have a problem with your bolt catch. But that's a subject for another video. So let's just go through jamming this gun up. So I'm going to be firing into that pile of dirt over there, right? I'm going to have it over there, right? So there you go. I just jammed up the gun, okay? So again, gun stops working. What you don't want to do at this point is just drop your magazine, put another one in there when you've got a problem like this. And it doesn't always look like this. There's many different ways that you can look how this can look. So the procedure here is, first thing you want to do is take out your magazine, clear the gun. Right now, as you can see, this is fucked pretty good over here. Lock the gun open, okay? Safety on, and then proceed to unjam this, okay? All right, verify that there's nothing no longer in there. Lock the gun open. Now you're ready to put in, a good magazine. That's the magazine. Put in a good magazine, okay? So generally, the first thing that you're going to want to do is try to pull out the magazine. You may not be able to pull out the magazine. Then you'll try to lock the gun open. You may not be able to, sometimes you get a jam that's so bad, that it takes a lot of effort. Let's try this again. Let's see if I can jam this up even works. Actually, that's what we want in there. Let's try jamming this up again. See how this goes. Okay. All right, so now actually call it the same exact jam again. All right, so if you know, in some instances, I'm able to pull this magazine out, but in some cases, if the magazine's not coming out easy, you can lock the gun open. Okay, you know, then you might be able. Wow, that actually turned backwards now. Okay, pull that out. Go around the chamber. All right, get that out. Okay, let's try something different now. Let's take one of these empty cases. What I'm gonna do, actually, I got a case here. Put an empty case in there, no bullet. Let's see what happens, how that looks. So whenever possible, you want to first lock the gun open before you load it, right? That's lock and load, right? You lock the gun open, then you load it. So this is the one now. First round is an empty case in there, right? Let's shove that in there. Close it. All right, so I try to close it, would not feed, okay? So that's what we're gonna do now. Let's pull it, that came out. Lock the gun open, right? And then what you do is you just pick up a new magazine, a magazine that doesn't have anything in there, okay? Let's do a different way now. Try to do some different jam. I'm gonna take this empty case, I'm gonna put it in backwards. See what that does. All right, so let's see what, okay, so now magazine won't come out. Let's see, can I lock this open? Okay, that came out immediately as soon as I locked the gun open. Okay, so that's the stuff. You just gotta experiment with this. Cause different types of jams. Put empty cases in forward. We don't need that now. Put empty cases in backwards. I'm gonna do a different jam with you guys now. What I'm gonna do is lock the gun open. I'm gonna take a magazine here. I'm gonna put that in there, and then I'm gonna take one of these, and I'm just gonna throw it in there, right? So now I've got 2 rounds. That didn't even go in. Okay, there we go. So now I've got 2 rounds that I'm gonna try and feed, right? So I got a magazine that's in there. Take a good cartridge, throw that in, and now I'm gonna release that. Right. So now I've got a double feed, right? I've got 2 rounds that are trying to feed. All right. So this is usually. Let's see if we can pull this out. Magazine does not come out. Okay. Lock this open. Right, if you can get the gun locked open, there you go, they both came out. So if you can get the gun locked open, a lot of times that'll just release the pressure, and then the magazine will come out. Now I've had situations, I haven't been able to recreate it, but I've had situations where I cannot lock the gun open, and basically I just gotta yank on the magazine really hard. Now here's the thing, in comparison. If you have a situation where you got a double feed, actually let's try it again. Let's try this one more time. Get the magazine out. Let's try to double feed it one more time. Maybe I can recreate that situation. I'm gonna take a good round. I'm gonna throw it in there. Send that home. Okay. All right. So let's see. Will that come out? Nope, that's not coming out. Can I lock the gun open? Okay. It took a little bit more effort that time, but I got it locked open. Got it out. But the point I was trying to make is that you may run into a situation where you are not able to pull this back, and what you gotta do is you gotta just yank on this magazine really hard. Now the interesting thing here is that in that situation, the PMags, which have the plastic lips, usually are gonna release a little bit easier because the plastic is gonna open up more. What I find is that the Lancers in that situation can be a little bit more difficult to get out, just because they because they're basically steel feed lips. Let me try it with the Lancer. Let's see if we get a different result with the Lancer. Nope, that's not this one. Let me put this one in here. So I'm gonna double feed this now. Throw that in there. Send that home. All right. Okay. Well, the bolt is moving back, so I know I can lock this back. Let me see. Can I pull this back? Nope. That's really hard. All right, so the easiest thing here to do is lock it back. So let it come right out. All right, so in most cases, just locking the gun back is going to take the pressure off, so that you can get your magazine out. But there's been cases where I just had to yank on it really hard. Now I'm going to show you guys a different jam. A lot of people refer to this as the bolt override. All right, so this is a death jam basically. You put this in there. All right, so what's going to happen is I'm going to take this cartridge, I'm going to throw it in there, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the gun upside down, right? So right now it's on top of the bolt, all right? So now, actually, let me go get some brass, because you guys can't even see this. Let me throw, I'm going to go do this with some brass. Let me get this out of there. Because I really want you guys to be able to see this. Put that there for a second. Hold on, I'll be right back. Let me pause this camera. All right, I got some brass so you guys can see this a little bit better. I'm gonna put that one in there. I should put that there. All right, so put the magazine in. Okay, lock it open. Okay, so magazine's in, right? I'm gonna take the brass. I'm gonna throw it in there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn it upside down and then lift it up. And now you can see that that is on top. Let's see if I can angle that right. That is on top of the bolt. You see that? Okay, so now when I release this, that is gonna create a death jam. Like, now I got one case under it trying to feed up, and then I got this other one on top of your bolt. You should be able to see it right there on top of your bolt. And this is usually a very difficult thing to unjam. Okay, when you pull that out, one came out. Well, here's the thing. As I'm pulling this back, you see how the cartridge is stuck, okay, between the top of the bolt, the top of the charging handle, and also the part of the charging handle that pulls it back. Okay, so the way we're gonna, there's two ways to undo this. The old way was to collapse your stock and mortar the gun. Basically, take this, slam this into the gun. The inertia would move the bolt back hard enough to unjam it. And sometimes this won't move at all. But the easier way, take your middle finger, put it in there where the bolt is, right? Pull that back, hold it back over here, then push the charging handle forward. And usually hold the bolt back and out it will go. Let's do that again. All right, so I'm gonna hold on to this. I lost one more. I'm gonna put that in there. Actually, let's lock this one open. Okay, got the gun locked open. We put the magazine in. All right, so we got rounds of there. So now I'm gonna take this. This is very rare. I think in all the years that I've been shooting or training people, this has only happened once. Okay, unintentionally. I mean, I've done it intentionally, but unintentionally, it has only happened once. And I'm pretty sure I was using one of those old aluminum magazines. So I'm going to take this cartridge here. I'm going to drop it in there, turn the gun upside down, and let it fall down on top of the top of the bolt. So it's between your bolt and the charging handle, right? And this time I'm going to pull the charging handle back, right? We're going to, rather than release it, let's try it this way. So let's really try and mess this up a little bit. All right, because the harder you do this, the worse it jams up. I can see I just bent the shit out of my bullet there. All right. Pull out the magazine. Okay, so I've got a bullet that is now, not only is it in there, but it is bent. Right? So again, I'm going to put my finger in there. I'm going to pull back on the bolt. There we go. Pull it back. Now, this is really hard because that bolt the cartridge, the case has got really bent. But the key is I'm holding back the bolt. That's the only way you're going to get this out. Yeah, there it goes. Got it out. Right? That's right. Let's get rid of that so we never see that one again. We don't want that to. All right, so they're your jams, okay? So that last one's a def jam, right? Where your round ends up between the top of your bolt and the bottom of your charging handle. And like I said, the one way is to collapse the stock. Make sure you collapse it, because if you leave it like this, you're gonna break your stock. So collapse the stock. You can mortar it, which is something that you might do in a combat situation where you need to get the gun up and running really fast. But if you, again, pull the bolt back, get your middle finger in there, hold the bolt back, and push forward. You may have to hit it hard. I mean, there's times when I have induced this, right, as part of a training exercise, where it got jammed really hard. Today it didn't get jammed hard. I mean, I had a little difficulty getting it out because of the bend that it had. But there were times where I had to pull this back and really, really hit this hard to try to get that charging handle to go forward. Yeah, that's what it is. Those are your jams that you want to practice, get familiar with them, so when they happen, you don't freak out. And for that reason, get 2 rounds here. These jams aren't common, but this is the reason why, as part of our shooting procedure, right? What we do is, when we fire the gun, we check it to make sure that it's not jammed up. So if I'm here, right, I fire the gun. Before I take out the magazine, I'll roll it over, look at it, then drop the magazine, put the next one in. Okay. As far as hitting the bolt release or pulling the charging handle, I've covered this in another video. As far as I prefer, here's the thing. A lot of times when I'm training people, what I'll do is I'll hit the bolt release. The reason is because they're newbies. I've got them like this. I'm talking to them, right? At this point, I'm just teaching them target shooting. So I want the gun to stay locked open until I'm ready for them to actually shoot. So at that point, I'll reach underneath and I'll hit the bolt release. I can't quite pull the charging handle here because I'm going to pull it into their nose, while they're aiming. So that's why a lot of times I'll hit the bolt release. But in practice for myself, I will usually run the charging handle. The reason why I run the charging handle is because when you hit the bolt release, what happens is the bolt moves forward from the position that it's at, okay? Whereas if you pull the charging handle back, you're actually pulling the bolt back like another 1/4 inch. So the bolt gets another 1/4 inch of travel as it goes forward, okay? So because it has that extra 1/4 inch of travel, in some situations where, let's say the gun is dirty or whatever, if it has that extra 1/4 inch travel, there's a better chance that it will chamber as opposed to, getting cracked open like this, where you gotta, hit your forward assist. One of the things I tell people is don't go too crazy with the forward assist, because if your bolt doesn't close on its own, there's a reason. You want to open it up and look at it and figure out what's going on with this gun that it's not closing. It might be that your cartridge is bent, like the other one we saw before, where it was all bent up. But that's the reason why I generally, when I train people, usually I'll use the bolt release just because of the position I'm in with them if they're beginners. But when I'm training people at the more advanced levels, I teach them to use the charging handle because I get that extra 1/4 inch of travel by pulling the bolt back, right? So actually, let me demonstrate that. So I'm here. Let me come around this way. So if I'm here, right, from where it is right now, if I hit the bolt release, the bolt only goes forward, right? So it only goes forward. There's no rearward travel. But on the other hand, if the gun's locked open, if I run the charging handle, right, if you look at the bolt right there, you're going to see that the bolt actually, it actually travels back another 1/4 inch. Travels back another 1/4 inch before it goes forward. So that gives you a little bit more inertia. So So that's our video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, jams with AR-15s are not that common these days because we have better magazines than we had, like, 12 years ago. I mean, they existed, but you just had so many of those aluminum ones in circulation that, people were reporting that, hey, they were having a problem with ARs, and a lot of times we didn't know what magazines they had. At this point, the aluminum ones have been completely phased out. Everybody's got good magazines with anti-tilt followers, and now we hardly ever see ARs jamming when people are shooting. Okay, now I mean, there can still be some problems, especially if you build the gun yourself. You might have a you might have a problem with the gas system. So, but that's part of, like, the debugging process of building a gun. But once you get the gun running and it's working good, jams with ARs are pretty rare, right? Unless you got a problem with the ammunition, because the gun does depend on the ammunition to cycle. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you're not member of the channel, subscribe. Hit the bell button so you get notification of new videos I put up. I'll talk to you all soon.